What's up, guys? This is Sammy Geek back here with another video, and this is round 2 of the OnePlus Open being returned. If you guys saw my last video, I went through a little bit of the reasons why I returned the OnePlus Open and decided at that time to keep the Fold 5. A little bit of a surprise ending to this, but let me tell you guys what I did. So if you guys remember, my original plan was to return the OnePlus Open and kind of hang tight and wait for prices to drop down a little bit, and then probably buy it again and get my hands on it again and play with it to be able to, use some more of the software features, more of the camera, play with it a little bit more, take a bunch more photos, really get to know the device a little bit deeper. When I originally, just a quick recap, when I originally bought the OnePlus Open, I had bought it, of course, right from OnePlus, and decided it was just too expensive at the time. I think there was too many risks behind the device, which you can check out my previous video to learn a little bit more about. And so I went on the website Swappa, which I shared on the first one. It's a SWAPPA, Swappa. And it's a really great website to find phones used and be able to sell your devices, things like that. It's an awesome website. I don't rep it by any stretch. I'm not sponsored to talk about them. It's just a website that I use. So long story short, I watched the prices, continue to watch, and just as I predicted, right before January 1st, the prices started dropping down. So I jumped the gun a few weeks before I probably should have. And I found a really good deal. It was a ripping deal on a phone, and it had some accessories with it. So I ended up picking that up and decided to give it a shot again. So I probably tried it for 2 weeks, and I ended up just getting rid of it. I will tell you guys why, and then a little bit of a surprise ending in this video. So I actually jotted down some of my likes and dislikes this time because I wanted to be a little bit more clear. So I'm going to go through likes and dislikes of the OnePlus Open to start. And remember, my bar was the Samsung Fold 5. So this was sort of my daily driver, and then I was switching to the OnePlus Open. So coming from this phone, likes and dislikes of the OnePlus Open. So the likes, we'll start with the fun factor. The fun factor of the OnePlus Open, it felt different than this Fold 5. And it had, I think I mentioned it in the first video, but it had some sort of, it's hard to describe, but it was more of a fun factor because it was an all-in-one sort of Swiss Army knife of a phone, right? Because it had the wider screen, it was more usable. It had really great specs, great battery life. And then you could, of course, flip it open and you had the full-blown, inner screen. And so it was like a tablet and phone and camera and everything that you wanted in what really a Swiss Army knife. But the fun factor, so the way I can describe it best is like the Fold 5 feels more like a corporate-y, businessy, if that makes sense. Whereas the OnePlus Open feels more like a fresh design and fresh, fun, cool, if that makes sense. So the next thing was the width of the phone, of course, versus the Fold 5. I really fell in love with the width. I loved the fact that the front was, and this was actually kind of part of the downfall, but the fact that it was so wide and usable was awesome on a day-to-day, right? So what that ended up doing is I opened up the device a lot less, and so I'll get to that in a second. The next thing that I really liked was the internal screen, of course. As compared to the Fold 5, I like this screen, but the OnePlus Open, the matte finish, you guys, second to none. The least amount of the crease, again, second to none on the OnePlus Open. Next is, I'll get to it, but it's one of my likes. It was the camera in sunlight. So in nice daylight or sunlight, the photos looked fantastic. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen photos look so nice out of any camera that I've ever had. Now, I'm not really an Apple user. I know Apple has a pretty nice camera setup, but versus the Samsung phones and things like that, even the S23 Ultra, it just was awesome. The pictures were so crisp, clean, the colors were true. The outdoor cam, I'm telling you guys, if you have a OnePlus or you're looking at it, the outdoor photos are like spectacular. So some of my dislikes, Although it has some sort of that fun factor feel to it, I felt like it was a little bit toy-like. So I don't know how to explain it, but that's the best sort of term that I could come up with. It felt more toy-like than the Samsung, which can be true sometimes for, and I'm not knocking them because sometimes they make good products, but the China-built products versus some other manufacturing processes in other nations, things like that. I don't know how to describe it best, but it felt more toy-like, maybe just not as solid, not as, it didn't feel like a $1,500 phone, if that makes sense. Again, it's a really durable phone, like jerry rig anything. I think he did the bend test on it, and it really showed great results on that. So you can't knock it on that front. Just my personal opinion. So don't hate on, what I'm thinking here and trying to share. But compared to the Fold 5, toy-like. Next up is the camera bump as a dislike. At first, it didn't bother me. But then when I realized I started putting it in my pocket and carrying the phone around and feeling that giant camera bump on the back, it just got old really quick. I would set the phone on the table and it would sit up so high that it would tower over any other phone that I had sitting next to it. So it was just not a win for me. Just the camera bump is just a no-go. It was just, for me, it was just too thick. It got in the way. Just not a fan of it. The next dislike is also regarding the camera, but it is in low light situations. So one is low light and two is movement. Anytime I had a subject move in the picture, even the slightest a bit, I would always get something blurry if it is not bright and sunny. The low light photography, I just did not like it. I didn't, versus any Samsung phone that I had. I will jump in and say something here, kind of off this list. This camera here on the Fold 5. Sometimes I don't think it takes true to life colors, or I don't think it takes pictures that are true to life in color. Probably because they use cheap cameras on this phone. And anytime I had good lighting with the OnePlus Open, I always got really nice, true to life colors. And I loved that part. But anytime the light went away, it just killed the picture quality. And I couldn't have that because I live in a northern state where we have 40 seconds of sunlight a day. And so for me to take pictures at night, it's and I'm not going to have studio lights and things like that at all times. So it just didn't make sense for me anyway. Next up for dislikes is the trade-in ability. I continued to go on the Samsung website and thought, hey, maybe you could look up a new Samsung phone and you would see OnePlus on there as an option. And I continue to not see that. I believe on the Google phones as well, I didn't see a trade-in for the OnePlus devices. So I don't think that Samsung, Google, some of the major players are going to take OnePlus as a trade. So I think all of the commerce of that particular phone is happening on third-party websites like Swappa, eBay, things like that. So that was a huge turnoff for me because how often I go through these phones, I need the ability to occasionally go on Samsung and capitalize that. If they're going to launch a new model, I like to be able to capitalize on trading this in because I know the Fold 5, I guarantee you, well, I just about 99% guarantee that this will be worth $1,000 next summer when they launch the Fold 6. Now you can go online and find these for a reasonable fee, right? Well, I mean, $700-800, right? And then you can use this phone, and you're going to get $1,000. Now, of course, you're going to have to buy a $1,600 or $1,500 phone, but they'll give you $1,000. They're not going to give you $1,000 for a OnePlus Open. So that made me really nervous. Last thing on my dislikes is the auto brightness. This was my number one nitpick about the OnePlus Open. For whatever reason, it was crazy on the auto brightness. It would go too bright and then too dim and then too bright. It just was never right. And I was constantly having to change it. And the moment you change the phone angle, even if the lighting was slightly different, it would go from being nice to look at to super bright the second it would get any little bit of light. And I couldn't handle that because I'd be reading something and I would change a little bit and then it would just brighten up, not just 10%, but it would brighten up like 40% higher than from where it was at. And I couldn't figure it out. But Samsung, for whatever reason, has that dialed in so much better. So it really got annoying. And with the dislikes, I just decided it's, again, not the phone for me. And this is the final, put a bow on it. I'm done with the OnePlus Open. So I've come to a conclusion, kind of a bottom line that I think might help people out. So if you are coming from an Apple device or an S23 or S22 or whatever, a flat slab type of display, you really need to want to have a foldable display. This is something everybody's been talking about, but you just have to understand this because there will be sacrifices. You will have a more delicate device. You will have a thicker device, et cetera, et cetera. But what it comes down to, I think, is the tossability of it. Like if you're used to tossing your phone in a bag or just tossing it quick in your pocket, and there's less moving parts. It's just one slab phone. Then you're definitely going to want to stay with the slab. No matter how much you think you're going to like this, you're probably not. But if you find yourself using a tablet often, whether you're on the bus, going to school, at work, in any scenario, sitting on the couch relaxing at night, and you're using a tablet more often than like your slab phone, you're probably going to love the ability to have both in one. I think for me, what it came down to was, it's funny because it's a benefit of the OnePlus Open, but it also kind of killed the device for me, was the fact that I could use the front display. So I got used to using that display again. And then I realized I don't really have to open it that often. It was really awesome when I opened it, but the drawbacks of having the huge camera bump and it's not waterproof and well, it's water resistant, but it didn't have the full IP ratings that it could have had with a slab phone. And the fact that I felt like I just couldn't toss it in the gym bag and I felt like, things could get crammed or it's going to open, or if I drop it, I'm going to get black lines. The list goes on. So again, I start looking at this front screen. I start using this more often. Then I found myself going back to the S23 Ultra, which I'm recording on now. And I'm like, bingo, that's it. I'm going to be done with the foldables for a minute. Also, to go along with the bottom line is the support structure. So if you guys are looking for the best support structure, meaning if there's a warranty claim or any issues with your phone, Samsung is going to be the clear winner. The sellability and the trade-in, I mentioned. The sellability, for example, go on, I know it's a little bit early, okay? So you guys will probably holler at me for this, but it's a little early. But if you go on like Facebook Marketplace, you're not going to see a OnePlus Open, or you might see one, maybe you see one, but look at like a Fold or an S23 Ultra, and I know they've been out for a while, so whatever, you understand what I'm saying. You log on and most people gravitate towards a product that's well known, Samsung. So they're going to buy Samsungs, and you're going to find used Samsungs on the Facebook Marketplace. So the sellability of the name, there's not many people out there looking for a OnePlus Open. So you better be prepared to go out and spend the $1,500 that you're going to spend. And who knows what the resale value is going to be of that phone whenever you decide to flip it, where you always know people are going to be shopping for Samsung. So it's, again, you get that with any new brand, but just be aware of that. And then the last thing for me, that's what I mentioned, is not even the Samsung Fold 5 has that like tossability. So the bottom line, like I said, if you throw your phone around a lot, and just admit it, you're not going to be a Fold user for now anyway. If you are just looking for, if you like using the wider display, if you're really set on the wider display and you're going to use that 90% of the time anyway, just get a slab phone. Why are you going to go out and spend $1,500 so you can open it up every once in a while and sit on the couch and look at Amazon. So that's kind of my likes, dislikes, and bottom line. I wanted to put a bow on this, a little bit of a longer video here, but put a bow on this. So anybody that's shopping for the OnePlus, if you really, really want a foldable, I guess go for it if you are willing to take the risk of, if you're planning on selling it in the next 6 to 12 months, figure out what you're going to do. If you don't care, just buy the thing. But if you are going to go spend $1,500 and you're hoping to sell it for $1,000, you better realize your market in the 6 months or the 12-month mark. You also better realize what is the service going to be, especially after the warranty runs out. Do you need to get extended warranty? Do you need to get square trade or whatever it might be? And again, if you want a slab phone or absolutely need to get into the foldable. So hopefully that puts a bow on it for you guys. And thanks for watching my videos on the OnePlus Open. I guess what I'm going to do is use the S23 Ultra for a while. And then my plan is to the S24 Ultra, if you guys are following that. That is supposed to come out here, I think it's January 17th. Is supposed to be the Unpacked event or somewhere around there. And then I believe by the end of January, they will have the S24 Ultra. I'll probably put some videos up on the S24 Ultra, but for now, I'm going to go back to the slab phone, sticking with the S24 Ultra. I'm going to keep this because I just think I would miss having a foldable around. I don't like the camera performance of this though. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I will be trading this in. I'll just keep it in nice condition and trade this in for the Fold 6 whenever that comes. So thanks again, guys, and have a great day. Peace.